Okay, let's ask the class. All right, Aveen wants a cookie. Aveen, can you tell us what makes this ambiguous stimuli, this image, if you can explain how that image could be interpreted as ambiguous stimuli, you can have a cookie. Go ahead.
What does ambiguous mean?
Unclear. Or change.
She's my best friend.
Because
Halloween. Okay. Go ahead. Can you put that?
Because since there's two ways you can perceive the image, you can perceive its background or you can perceive its foreground. And the foreground would be the vase, the background would be the face. And that way it's ambiguous because you can see it either way and it changes.
It changes automatically, doesn't it? Wait. It changes automatically depending on what you pay attention to. If you see the face, then you see the face as foreground. If you see the vase, then the vase is foreground. So it can be changed with what? With whatever you're paying attention to. So do you find the form here or do you find that form? We call that ambiguous stimuli. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So how does this work? You're making a expectancy. You're automatically saying, this is normally what I see in a vase. Get it? Or a vase. So we're taking what we experience, what we know, how our brain processes, and we're making meaning of it. And with ambiguous stimuli, it's a changing meaning. It's changing meaning based on what you pay attention to or your experience. Clear? We use Gestalt principles. Remember Gestalt? What's the quote?
The
sum is greater than the sum of its parts, or sum of its parts.
Okay, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So basically, when we think of Gestalt principles, we think of making meaning in two ways. What are the two ways? From the particle to the whole, or from the whole to the particle. We also call this bottom-up or top-down processing. Again, this falls in with our perceptual set. Remember that we have a tendency to complete figures using our expectancy. Okay, let's show you this. Factors are perceptual Gestalt principles. The whole is greater than its parts. We talked about this already. Nearness, similarity, continuity, closure. We already addressed this list, right? These are just the definition. I want to show you the pictures because that's really how you understand it. Common region. Here it is. Okay, this is a really easy way to do it. The other one is a little bit more abstract. Nearness. Do you see the pattern? That we have a tendency to group things in how they are, how connected they are, is nearness. Any question on that? Any question on that? Okay. We have a tendency to look for similarities. You clear? We have a tendency to look for similarity, okay? Continuity, we follow the line or we follow the blocking, okay? See? Principle of closure, we close, we finish the image automatically. Again, that's part of our processing, perceptual processing. We look for common region. What's the same? What's different? You clear? And again, these are automatic. What enhances this? Knowledge. Okay? Knowledge and experience. We create an expectancy. Is there any ambiguous stimuli there? Not really. It's one image. Right? Any questions on that stuff? Okay. Moving on. Camouflage breaks up foreground and background. Can you see the image that's in there that's being hidden?
Stick bug?
There's a bug? No, you're right. It's the bug. There's the bug. Camouflage, we call it cryptic coloration or concealing coloration. It breaks up foreground, background, so it's hard, it's kind of ambiguous stimuli that you can't decipher easily. Okay? Camouflage. Any questions on camouflage? What?
Why do you call it camouflage?
Isn't that how you call it?
Camouflage.
That's not right.
There's an A. No, it's like
Com.
the Rossiter, guys. Stop.
Oh, flage.
Speaking of the Rossiter, where is it?
Okay, any questions, camouflage? This is a great concept. Perceptual hypotheses. How many have ever done this? You see somebody in a crowd and you go up to them and you go, "Hey, Susie!" You slap them on the back, and it's not Susie, you know? Or whoever. I don't know.
That happens. Not like something.
I like yelling at him. I will both on it.
Well, that's this. Isn't that what you're doing already?
Or like when someone waves at you.
If you yell, "Hey!" and they're like, "Who are you?" Right? Of course, we've all done that. Well, what we're doing is we are making a perceptual hypothesis. We think that's the person based on what? Our perception of their physical attributes, our processing of what they seem to look like. We have meaning, we have some visual organization, but they're mistakes. So, it's just like when you go to, if you're going to your interview, you have an expectation. This is an expectancy. Based on this visual input, I think this is this is my friend. Until you get more evidence, you get into more proximity, and you don't know who they are. When we get closer, the hypothesis either proved or disproved. Perceptual hypothesis. Do you understand that concept?
Yeah.
We expect and understand based on experience. Again, you see a theme of experience? So again, if you can remember that nature-nurture concept, both are working together for accurate perception of reality. Necker's cube. What is this? What's the concept we should know with this one? Yeah.
You can see it two ways.
What's that called?
Ambiguous
Ambiguous stimuli, okay? And it's natural. Depending on what you pay attention to, what letter, you can see which perspective it is representing. If you focus on a letter, you can see it a different way.
It's which corner you think is in front.
Yeah. So this could be the bottom on the front or the back on the bottom.
As the M, like on the top layer, and then all of a sudden it just changed, and I got really freaked out.
Once Alex said that, it flipped tonight. Now he's no.
Why did you, okay, that's a perfect, once Alex said it, I can see it. What does that mean? Put that in terms of perception.
My mind, how I was thinking about it changed.
Why?
Because it was brought to my attention.
What do we call that?
Knowledge.
Experience. Experience. That he gave you new insight and you perceived it more accurately. Can you see where the end game is going with this stuff? When someone is saying, "People hate me, I'm not worthy," you go to the therapist, and the therapist hopefully will give you, "Hey, you're perceiving the world inaccurately. You're not looking at it accurately. Your perceptions are a little askew." Does that make sense? That's the end game. We actively construct meaningful perceptions, so our brain is processing all the time and integrating all this information. Conflicting information prevents a stable interpretation. That's it. Ambiguous stimuli is conflicting information. Our brain wants to say, "Wait, we see it this way," and then it goes, wait a minute, we see it this way. It's kind of like, can you imagine, like, there's a great movie. What's that movie where the brain is talking? The brain has different parts. It's a cartoon. Some kids showed it last.
Inside Out.
I don't know.
Is the one with the emotions?
With the little, it's a cartoon where the memories are lost.
Yeah.
Old people.
I
And
cried like 3 times during that movie.
it's totally accurate to a lot of memory processing, a lot of things that
Is that the one where the people are the emotions, like there's joy
Yeah.
and anger? Yeah.
That'd be the anger.
we can explain that later.
Well, there's this little elephant dude who like sacrificed himself
Yeah.
so joy can fly away and go.
You're ruining it for everybody to see.
Something tells me they're not gonna see it just because you mentioned it.
We're gonna watch it.
Have you never seen it?
The kids wanted to watch it last year, and it was really good. But we can explain why you're crying too. That's down here towards emotion, motivation, emotion. There's probably some developmental stuff going on too. Depth perception. Okay, you've already read this. See, now we're getting to what you've been reading. What is the number one thing that is responsible for depth perception from the reading? Should we make it a quiz?
No.
How about Nick?
Group quiz.
Any idea?
Oh.
Did you do the homework? Do you guys pay attention to the homework when you do it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Not you and me. Sorry, you've already spoken. I've got 15 other kids here that I want to hear something. Anybody remember from depth perception? Oh, come on. Okay, here it is. Ready?
Is this a quiz?
How many eyes do you have?
2.
Don't say 4.
2.
2 eyes.
You already got a
Oops.
cookie.
Excuse me.
have a problem?
2 eyes. You guys are great.
Hi. I mean,
Yes, 2 eyes.
2 eyes, we call it retinal disparity, causes us to see three-dimensional. It is a perfect example of what we call nature-nurture. We are born with the tendency to see depth. And then we have experience that makes meaning. Does that make sense? But the other aspect is we call it retinal disparity. So for example, I have 2 eyes and they go into convergence on an object. Can you see that?
yeah.
So because see, this is why we should have done the sensations first, but that's all right. The retina is on the back of the eyeball here, and then it goes back to the brain through the optic nerve to the.
What's our next module?
I know. That's why I'm doing it this way. But usually, I think it's much better to do sensation and then the more complex perception. Your book does it different this year. So if you'll look here, because this image, it's the same image, but it's projected slightly differently because your face has 2 eyes and the image, you ever go like this and you see the world one way, you go like this and it's slightly different? That's called retinal disparity. All right, skipping. Depth perception. There it is. So the retina's back here, and that helps us see the difference. So some basic things are retinal disparity and experience determine depth. If you only have 1 eye, you cannot perceive depth very well. You can't perceive it as for sure not as accurately. You can perceive some of it with experience. I'm going to show you. Well, we can't see it. Okay, let's go back. So when you think of depth perception, this is what we're going to pick up on tomorrow. Depth. Okay, we survived. Thank you for being here today.